In this video, we're going to be talking about estimation of whole numbers. In fourth grade, there are two TEKs that students must master by the end of the year related to estimation. The first one, 4.2D, talks about the act of rounding and rounding whole numbers to the hundred, thousands place. 4.4G takes the student's skill of rounding and their skill at creating compatible numbers and applies it to problem solving. The good news is that these fourth graders learned how to round numbers last year in third grade up to the 10,000s place. Okay? What they did not do was they did not talk about compatible numbers. So that is going to be new for them this year. All right, so when we talk about estimation, the first thing I want to make sure my students understand is why we estimate. We estimate because we want to get to friendly numbers in order to do mental computation, whether it's budgeting, whether it's figuring out how much money someone owes you from dinner, whatever it is, we use estimation to help us daily, okay? And this whole understanding of why we estimate will also help students not wait till the end of the problem to round or use compatible numbers, because they will understand that estimation comes first before we solve. That is the purpose of it. Then, after we talk about why we estimate, I would tell students there are two ways that we can estimate numbers. And the first one is compatible numbers, and that's what we're going to work on today. Compatible numbers are friendly numbers. Okay. Now, yes, we create friendly numbers when we round, but what's different about compatible numbers is that they don't have to end in 0. So I can look at 54 and say, well, you know what? That reminds me, that's very close, only one away from 55. Okay. And then I can look at 68 and I can say, well, I could do 65 and get 120, or I can do 70 and get 125. Either way is correct, because as I said before, you cannot request they use one specific strategy. They can use either compatible numbers or rounding to estimate solutions. And what's hard about compatible numbers is there's so many ways students could do it that I can't give them a tried true rule of this is what it should look like. It's about them finding numbers they are comfortable with. All right, once students have used compatible numbers to estimate solutions, we are then going to teach them to round. And there are two ways we're going to use to round in fourth grade. The first one is by using a number line like our third graders did. So we're going to put a number up here, 361, and we're going to pretend that I'm rounding it to the hundreds place. Okay? So I'll create my number line and I'll think, 361, what two hundreds is that in between? Well, it's in between 300 and it's in between 400. Could students have drawn a number line that was 200, 300, 400? Absolutely. So once again, we can't limit them to what strategy they came up with to do this. We can only help them understand the efficiency of other methods. Okay? So 361 is in between 300 and 400. What's in the middle? 350. So 361 would go after 350, so it's closer to 400. Okay. Another way we can do this is to get rid of the number line and use place value. It's basically the same. So here's 361. I want to round to the tens place this time. So what two tens is 361 in between? It's between 360 and 370. So I know that right in the middle would be 365. This is 361, so it's closer to 360. All right, do not teach the students stop and go number, rounding raps, rounding songs. That makes students focus on an individual digit within a number and not the number as a whole. We are trying to move students away from that. We want them to understand the number as a whole. All right, so let's talk about problem solving with estimation. Problem solving with estimation is hard because there's no one set of rules that we can play by. But on your instructional talk page, I do talk you through the rules that I gave my students. Rounding reminders. When they're working any kind of word problem, rounding comes first. Then, I already talked to you about this one. Make sure they round to the highest place value all the numbers have in common. Okay? Never round a single digit number. If it's 3, it does not round to 0. Okay? It could round to 5 if you use a compatible number. But we don't want to do that with single digits. So the answer is no, we never round a single digit number for students. All right, and then I tell students if you've done everything right and the answer still is not there, then they want us to do something else. So if we used rounding and maybe it's asking about compatible numbers instead. So make sure that you teach them these steps, but for them to understand it doesn't always work. It's about 90% fail proof, but there's those 10% of questions they may be looking for a compatible number and I did the wrong, I rounded instead. All right, as you always, take a look at that instructional talk page. Let me know if you have questions, and we will see you next time.